Hi, I'm Vanessa Calloway. You may know me as an actress from film, stage, and television, but did you know that I'm a breast cancer survivor? And along with the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, I want to welcome you into my company of friends. Come on in. I want to welcome everybody to In the Company of Friends with Susan G. Komen and me, Vanessa. And I want to thank Chef Gail here.
Nice to be here.
You've been here before with us.
Yes,
You've been here last time that we did this.
Yes,
and you
we had a great time.
You make great foods. We're going to get into the delicious foods that you make because you have a whole comfort food selection that you have for healthier eating.
That's right.
And you're going to show us how to make some of that today.
Just a little bit.
And my very special guest is somebody who I have so much admiration for. I've had the pleasure of knowing her for a while, Miss Leah Daniels Butler. And Leah is like... she's an incredible casting person here in LA.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you are, and what you do is very difficult because you have to cast people. You have to bring people to producers and directors to fill a lot of slots for a lot of different projects.
Yeah.
You've cast me in a couple of things. Right now, I'm in Saints and Sinners on Bounce TV that Leah cast me in.
Yes.
But tell us about some of the projects that you're doing and just why did you get into casting? What is it about casting that caught your attention?
Well, it's so funny because when I was growing up, I didn't know that casting was necessarily like a thing. I didn't know it was a job that people actually did. It wasn't until I moved out here and moved with my brother, Leah Daniels, and he had a management company at the time.
Okay.
So this is before he was a director and a producer. He was management. He represented Morgan Freeman and quite a few other people. But anyway, he was just like, you need a job. And he introduced me to Jackie Brown Carmen.
Okay, I remember Jackie.
Jackie Brown and Kim Harden. And they were, just really uplifting and really supportive Black women in the business, saw a young girl and saw something in me that I really didn't see in myself and helped me to where I'm at now. So it just kind of like I kind of fell into casting. It wasn't something that I had, planned to do, but really.
What do you enjoy most about casting, though? Since you decided to stay.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. Candy Alexander told me years ago that I was young enough to, is this what's the rating on this show?
It's
grown folks?
It's grown folks.
Okay, all right. All right. So she told me I was young enough to have an awesome career and old enough to screw it up, but that's not the word she used.
Yeah.
But and it sat with me, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna really take this seriously, and and I had two great mentors.
So what about casting though do you like? Because you have, it's not easy, I would imagine, because you've got to picture people in the roles. So tell us some of the shows that you cast currently.
Just finished All American.
I love that new
Isn't that a
show.
good show?
I like that new show.
It's a really good show.
Yeah.
It's based on a family, a young football player who was actually an All-American football player, and his transition from living in the hood
to
moving to Beverly Hills. So that's a great show. And doing Tales for BET and wrapping those shows up. And those are just television, but then film. I'm about to start what's her name with the flower, good jazz singer.
Oh, Billie Holiday.
Yes.
So and you're about to start a new project now.
Yes, I'm about to start the Billie Holiday story, and my brother is directing that, and he's got some other.
So what about casting do you like though? What kept you in the business since you could have left?
I think mainly is the talent, like finding new talent and really helping people with their dreams, helping people to fulfill their dreams and working so closely with the directors and the producers and all those, just being a part of the creative process, I think is really, really what keeps me in it now, but I'm segueing into producing as well. So.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a natural
it's a natural,
directing, producing stuff. And you share with me too, because this is all about my company friends, because as you know, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and we're talking about women's health, and we've talked about cancer. We talk about, we've had experts on the show just sharing various information and knowledge and techniques and new processes and stuff. And Chef Gail here, she specializes in healthy food comfort food, trying to make it healthy. And you shared with me that you had a thyroid issue.
Yes.
And you had to change your diet. You want to share that with us?
Yes. So a few years ago, actually more than a few years ago, it's almost like 8 years ago, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And, the doctors tried to keep it, I guess, regulated with medication. And for 4 years I was on medication, and I'm telling you, when they put me on the medication, like, I was going up and down with weight. It was just really, my body was just off. My hands would shake, my equilibrium was off, just everything, hair falling out. It was a mess. And so they were able to regulate it to some degree, and they thought we were okay. And about maybe 4 years into it, and then I could feel it coming back after they took me off the medication. And so he said, well, we have two options. You can either get your thyroid removed or have what's the treatment called? Iodine treatment. And with iodine, I didn't want to do that because you literally can't be around anybody for like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, anything that's you can't be around other people for 2 weeks, I don't want it in my body.
Right.
So,
am I going to start falling?
Exactly. So I was like, no, I don't want that. So they removed it, and but with that came like weight gain, because now I'm on Synthroid for the rest of my life. Like, I have to take it. And,
so do you find that now
it's really hard to lose weight? It's hard to I mean, for me, I try to eat as healthy as I can, but you backslide and everything, and it's difficult because I do feel like there's some things that trigger it. Certain foods, like maybe soy and wheat, I feel like it does. So I'm really conscious, but at the same time, it's like hard because I feel like I'm constantly eating the same things, and it gets really boring.
Breast cancer is the most common cancer among Black women. We are more likely to be diagnosed younger, at later stages, and with more aggressive forms of the disease, which limits our treatment options.
So
I know,
this
me
is great.
too, because I've always been very healthy in my eating style, and it gets so boring, and you have to learn moderation and replacements. And with that replacing, what do you make? How are you doing? What have you making here?
This is my grandmother's. She called it her secret meatloaf, and the reason we never knew why it was a secret.
I'm afraid to ask, because Grandma got a secret about anything. It's like,
No, this was a good secret actually. So what she did was, although I replaced her beef and pork with turkey to make it a little bit lighter.
That's a good substitute.
And then what she did though was she very finely chopped the vegetables that she put in, and she'd sneak in carrots, she'd sneak in mushrooms, she'd sneak in spinach. There's so many different things she would sneak into the food so that we would have the vegetables that we didn't always want. So in here I've added, what I used was one of those little mini food processors. If you don't have one, you can just always use a knife. Just cut it up super fine, and then I've added an egg, and then 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. That adds a lot of flavor. And then the other thing that she used to use was ketchup. I don't know if you know, adds tons of sugar.
Yes, it
does. There's
does.
a lot of sugar in ketchup. So one of the alternatives is just to get one of these tomato pastes.
Tomato
which they
paste, I
call
love those.
Italian toothpaste. And then you can use this because they should just have water and tomato in it. And then because it just has water and tomato, you get rid of all of that sugar. So if you have a sensitivity to that, I put a couple of tablespoons in there, and then I add some breadcrumbs, salt and pepper.
Any kind of breadcrumbs?
I use organic breadcrumbs. I use organic as much as possible. And so I add that in, and then I'm going to mix this meat up, and we're going to make a quick meatloaf. The other thing is I always add all of the liquids in at the same time, so then when you mix, you don't have to mix so much. Because that's what sometimes makes a meatloaf tough, is that people over mix it. So we're just going to mix it just enough.
And do you do a fold or you do a mix? You fold or mix?
Actually get in there.
Yeah. You get in there with your hands?
I have a little rubber glove.
Girl, I love my rubber gloves. I cook with my rubber gloves.
Exactly.
And
even though I cook, I always put my rubber gloves on. It also makes people feel comfortable. When
I cook with my rubber gloves all the time.
So I'm going to add the breadcrumbs and do that, and then we're going to make this meatloaf, and then I have some for you to taste that I made already.
Now, what kinds of things would you put with this meatloaf for? Because, once again, we're trying to stay healthy. Like Leah's always got to watch her weight. So that's a good substitution, putting the vegetables in there. But what are some of the other side dishes that you would?
Well, because this is a comfort food dish, oftentimes what I'll add with this is some caramelized carrots. So we're going to do some of those. I do some garlic mashed potatoes, but again, we still lighten those up a little bit. And then some good old collard greens.
I was gonna say, this ain't no mac and cheese, girl.
Sauteed collard greens. No, we're trying to stay healthy. And the only thing you can do.
Well, you can have mac and cheese. You just got to do
have
the
to manage
moderation,
your portions, right?
right?
That's it. As long as you manage your portions and have what is a real portion size, which most people don't know. But if we do a real portion size, you can have.
What is a real
I was just
portion
about
size?
to ask that. What is a real portion
Usually
size?
a portion size is around a half a cup.
So in
That's a
terms
lot
of being
For
on your
any
plate.
starch or things like that.
So like because here's the thing, when it comes out, like if you're cooking or if you're serving someone or if you're even at a restaurant, when it comes out, how do you know if you're eating the right serving? Because sometimes they have these these huge plates of
They
food.
almost always do, so they can justify charging more. One of the things that I do that helps that is I ask for my to-go container at the same time. And so I take out all the food that I know I'm not going to eat because you're talking to people, you're socializing, and so you eat mindlessly sometimes when you do that. So I always ask for the to-go container when the food comes out, and I take half of it and put it on the side.
And
So
that way,
half
you eat
the
one
food.
meal is feeding you twice,
and then
too.
you can have it right for dinner later on or whatever else you want. So that's one of the
smart.
ways that can help, because I have to tell you, even though that food is good, it's good for a reason, because it's loaded with fat, sugar, and salt. All the things we don't want. So just moderate your portion control and you'll be fine.
The campaign is called Know Your Girls because it can be life-saving to know your girls, your breast, as intimately and as deeply as you know the girls in your life. The women who love you, who support you, celebrate you, the women who hold you up through it all. Your moms, aunties, your sisters, your best friends, your sorors, and your daughters. Now, you talk about greens. I love I like this a couple of ways I make greens. I like to make my mixed greens on a grill. And I add I'll do the kales, I'll do the cabbages, I'll even do some collards, I'll do, we talked about earlier, cut me the jalapeno up there, girl.
Yeah,
and
I like
cut
that.
and cut some onions and stuff, but then I will put them, I massage them with olive oil, a little salt and pepper, a little garlic powder, and then I get a basket and I do it on top of the grill. It's so.
Maybe you should be doing this segment. That sounds really good.
Well, I don't really cook.
You don't cook?
That all. Well, I mean, I
Does
don't
your
know.
husband cook?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, he's
hey.
a great cook.
Then you don't have to cook.
Right, that's the truth. He's a really good cook. I was just telling you a story earlier about Valentine's Day. I wanted to make dinner as a surprise, so because reservations was just crazy. So I said, okay, I'm gonna have lobster tail with lump crab meat
Ooh.
and shrimp.
All right, girl.
Yeah, stuffed. And I was going to do potatoes and some mixed vegetables and some steak. And it didn't quite turn out that way, so I ended up having to order the steak.
What did it turn out?
Well, I did.
How did the lobster?
The lobster was actually okay because I got the recipe off of all
Did the
recipes.
crab and the shrimp make it inside?
Yes. The crazy thing is that I didn't realize that you have to use egg to make everything stick together.
Oh, okay.
So that's how you kind of make that sauce. Anyway, I had to order the steak from Craving.
That's okay. You got halfway through.
But he had to go pick it up.
Oh, yeah. If you could have had your little faux pop before you
I
got
was trying to have it all out for him, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Did he eat?
Yes. And
Did he like
loved
it?
Yes.
He did good.
So
So what are you doing now, Chef
Just
Gail?
adding a little bit of, I am adding a little bit of ketchup that's mixed with a couple other spices and seasoning in here, just to put on the top so that when
I
we
like that
put
little
this-
pan. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, so that when we put it in the oven,
looks so good.
it'll cook evenly, and the sauce will also kind of help to avoid the dryness that sometimes turkey
Right.
is.
Oh, yeah.
So if you just add a little bit of this on top and then put it in the oven,
Do you
make sure
smooth it out a little bit? or
Yeah,
no?
smooth it out a little bit. I'll get a spoon and do that, and then bake it to and don't. I do about. It's going to take about 45 minutes, but I always say don't bake to time. Bake to temperature.
Right.
So about 160 degrees internally.
And you got to know your oven.
Yes. And that's why I don't,
Yeah.
45 minutes for me might be a
Be
different
different,
time
right,
for you.
exactly.
But if you bake it to 160, 165 is when it's supposed to be completely done. But it cooks about 5 minutes even after, for all you guys who see things and think they're overcooked. Because they cook about 5 minutes after you
After
take
they
them out
do.
of the oven. So if you stop at 160, it'll go up to 165 and it'll be perfectly done and will be great for you.
Okay.
So you want to taste it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I have a question about that
Yes.
before you put that in the oven,
Sure.
though. So you mentioned that you put that on there so the turkey doesn't get, because sometimes turkey gets a little dry.
Right.
How do you prevent that from happening outside of like ketchup? Is there something else you can do, or just?
The best recommendation is not to overcook. And if you
Okay.
think it's going to dry out, put it at about 350, 375. If you think it's going to dry out, then just put a little tent over it, a little aluminum foil tent. That'll keep some of the moisture in and also make it cook a little faster.
Okay.
Now, Chef Gail, I gave up turkey and chicken a couple years ago,
for
just
you.
just as a health thing, you know, because I really, I didn't eat meat, and I just kind of gave it up. I just eat fish. But if I wanted something, because that's great comfort food that really fills you up. If I wanted something, what's a good substitution I could do for turkey if I want to do some type of loaf like that?
You could do a loaf. You could do a loaf with just like brown rice, mushrooms, peas. And again, I would do that same thing, is to make sure that you pulse it or put it in a food processor. And again, that's going to give you some of that moisture that you're going to lack from, and the oil that you're going to lack from the meat. The other thing is make sure and put a little olive oil in there, because again, there's no oil in there, and you want to use a good healthy fat to help you to make that. But there's different things: carrots, celery, all the same things.
I can still put the same thing.
Okay, so you
Just
use
Add some mushrooms and some brown rice so that it sticks. If you don't eat eggs, that's another reason.
I do
to add.
eat eggs.
You do eat
I
eggs?
do eat eggs.
I'd throw an egg in there too.
Yeah, to keep it all together,
Yeah,
to have it all
absolutely.
married.
Yeah, so you can experiment with different things. You can try with other things and see how it works for you. And if you like it, then that'll be your great substitute, and you don't have to.
You know, something
deal
I
with
had recently at a
grilled turkey.
restaurant that I never had, and I thought it was really good. It was like a quinoa cake.
Quinoa cake?
Yeah, it like
Was it sweet?
no, cake meaning like a patty, I should say patty, but it's like a crab cake instead of crab.
Oh,
it was
I see.
quinoa.
Yeah.
It
was
was
good?
really, it was surprising. I was like, oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
quinoa is like, what is that? Like
It's a grain.
grain.
It's
It's a
an
grain.
ancient grain.
Okay.
And the thing that's good
'Cause it
about it
seems
is
new,
it doesn't
like-
have a ton of. No,
No, it's very old.
Really?
Very-
Why
it's
does it
just-
feel like it's coming
Because
like
it's
everything
in
now?
style.
Oh, so- okay.
Just like
It's-
kale got its moment. You know,
Quinoa's getting its moment.
Quinoa's getting its moment.
Okay, all right.
That's true, yeah. And in America, we didn't use it very often. So when we
Okay.
started to bring all these different cultures coming into our country, that's one of the things they brought with them is quinoa.
Okay.
And the beauty of it is it doesn't have a lot of flavor. So whatever you add to it,
it
makes
just
it
it
better.
takes it on.
Oh.
Well, bring out that meatloaf.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
let's
ready
do
to try
it.
Leah's gonna taste it.
Okay. Whoop. There you are. Tell me what you think.
Drum roll, please.
I want to get some with some sauce.
She wants
get
that
some
ketchup.
sauce.
Yes, yes.
It looks good.
I'm gonna take a big piece.
Go for it.
Actually, it's really good. I can't even taste the vegetables.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was,
the-
that
that
was
was
the
the
part.
secret.
She snuck them in there. Yeah,
This
so
is
it
good.
worked.
Yeah.
Now, what else can we? You know, we've talked about the sides we
good.
can put with that. So, what's the dessert like?
Well, it's now that you mentioned dessert, I won't give you any directions, but what I can do is show you one that I've made already. You can
All right,
taste
I'll
it.
put
It's
this
very
down.
easy. I'll tell you how to cook it in just a few seconds.
I'm gonna taste the dessert now. I may not taste the
This is
meatloaf,
really good.
but I'm gonna have some of that dessert.
Okay, so this is a very simple dessert. It's pears and apples, and it's a crisp. So all you do is
That's healthy.
It's very healthy because there's no dough.
All right.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a crisp on the top, so that's oatmeal with just a tiny bit of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and some butter. Put that on top, but on the bottom, all there's in there is pears and apples, a little bit of sugar, some vanilla, and cinnamon. So let's try that out and tell me what you
Okay.
think.
And it sounds like to me, since we tried that out, we need something good to go with it, like a little wine. I'm
Yeah.
just
You
saying.
have some
I'm just saying. Here's another plate. Are you gonna have some of your own dessert?
I'm gonna have a little more of this meatloaf
Yeah,
too.
go ahead.
Okay,
Now,
go for it.
Leah, are you
We're
red or
right.
white? White.
White, yes.
White? Mm-hmm. I love white too. That's my fave. Yeah, I mean, you know, dessert. You gotta have a little wine with the right ladies.
Absolutely.
And we don't do any faking drinking wine here in the company of friends. We drink the real thing.
That's absolutely it.
Chef Gail, are you red or white?
I'm gonna do red. I'm gonna be
Okay.
different and do the red.
Thank
You do
you.
what you like, honey. You've been working, slaving in this kitchen. You deserve what you enjoy. Okay, here we go.
It's very simple. So it's just one apple, one pear.
Would you pass
Poured.
this to Miss Leah, please?
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And this is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And let me get over there to my dessert. I want this my
Please.
dessert.
Oh wait, we
Come
gotta
on.
cheers. I don't wanna.
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh, here we go to health, wealth, happiness
Absolutely.
in the company of friends.
Absolutely.